everyone, welcome to this final part of Tip 1 to understand Quran. Do you forgive? Can you forgive? Do you find it hard to forgive sometimes? I don't know how you answer that, but hey, can you at least answer yes to this? Is forgiveness a virtue? I believe most of us want to forgive and to be forgiven, but sometimes we don't seem to be able to do so. We would love to, but just we don't know how, especially when the pain is too much and the wound is too deep. Well, allow me to share this tip with you to ease the process and make it more organic and unforced. A law of a human nature. He who cannot forgive himself cannot forgive others. She who cannot forgive her mistakes cannot forgive the mistakes of others. Agree? Have you ever come across somebody like that? Do you know someone like that? Do you know someone who is hard on themselves? Well, how fun is it to deal with someone like that, impress them, or even worse, work for them? Boy, good luck. You know, have you ever dealt with somebody who's easygoing? How lovely was your experience? How lovely is it to deal with somebody who's easy on themselves, easy on the others, and just let life flow harmoniously? You know, in a Hassan ranked hadith, At-Tirmidhi has reported that Muhammad said, ألا أخبركم بمن تحرم عليه النار تحرم على كل قريب هين لين. Shall I not tell you about whom the fire is forbidden? He who is easygoing. So being easygoing, incredibly, increases the odds of us being safe in Day of Judgment and bring us a whole new level of comfort in this world. How about adding this to our 2021 resolution? We, humanity, humans, individually as well as collectively, are in need for love and compassion towards ourselves and towards others, and the latter cannot happen without the first. I find it problematic that widely spread notion of pain and guilt that many religious communities recycle among themselves and export to others. I mean, I've mentioned that in video part 2. This kind of notion has been imprinted onto us for so many centuries until it became a part and parcel of our religious subconscious. The better Muslims we try to be, the more it haunts us. And it is everywhere. It becomes kind of the norm of our religious talk, if you will. I mean, look at some of our talk in this pandemic. What are the interpretation a lot of us said and shared? It is punishment from God because we are bad Muslims or bad humanity. God is putting humanity in place and showing them who's weak and who's in power. God is teaching the West a lesson and forcing them to put the niqab. So harsh, religious communities. I mean, when was it the last time we received a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala confirming those interpretations and views? Ya akhi, ya ukhti, at least we need to say, I think that this is the reason, this is why things happening. Not just give this kind of interpretation. We need to be aware. We need to stop spreading this negative mentality, this vindictive, this self-lashing mentality. I mean, every time humanity goes through any calamity, any disaster, any problem, we are faced with these lovely and uplifting interpretations. Am I over-exaggerating? Really? Well, have you been to Salat al-Eid before? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Even to Salat al-Eid. How many times has it happened, honestly? How many times has it happened when you went to Salat al-Eid happy and excited to meet everyone, and you for once actually are proud of yourself? You prayed for 30 days. You prayed, you fasted, you recited Qur'an, you paid attention to your temper and speech like not any other time of the year. Only to go there, happy, proud of yourself, and excited about Allah's promised reward, And you go and you sit in the khutbah only to be reminded of your mistakes and shortcomings and how you'll revert back to your old habits now that Ramadan is over. Yeah, akhi, we get scolded for mistakes we haven't even committed yet. Isn't that interesting? We religious communities are so much fun, aren't we? And I mean, to add insult to injury, we get to be reminded of every pain and suffering happening around the world. How do you dare to be happy on the day of Eid while others people in such and such part of the world are suffering? And sometimes with the graphic details to what they are going through. You have the audacity to be happy on the day that God designated for you to be happy. Shame on you. What about Muslim you are? I mean, ya akhi, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 1400 years ago, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to perform Hajj, asked us to fast Ramadan, and designated the day of Eid for us to celebrate, 1400 years ago, there was pain and suffering in the world, always has been, always will be. Welcome to the human special interest world. I mean, of course, yes, I agree. Of course, we need to help. Of course, we need to get together and figure out a way to ease the pain of others, of each other. Of course, we can do that. We need to do that. I agree. But hey, can you meet and discuss this next week? Last week? Any week? I mean, not just the day. Don't discuss this in the day of Eid. Don't break my heart and make me guilt-ridden because my family and I are safe and sound and we're having plans for the days. يا أخي لكل مقام مقال. For every situation, there's a time and place to discuss it. But here, now, in the Eid is not the right time. See, I am not blaming any sheikh or sheikha or imam here. I am not blaming anybody. I am raising this point to highlight a practice that, the way I see it, increases the pain and never solves any problem, has it? Do you know why I don't blame shuyukh? Do you know what I don't blame any imam here? Because our sheikhs did not come from vacuum. They are one of us. They are us. They've been raised like us. And as I said before, this mentality, this guilt angle, approaching everything from guilt and lashing and putting down us and life and human, this mentality has been around for centuries. It didn't start with them. Our shuyukh, our imams did not invent this. And in all actuality, they are exposed to a bit higher and more concentrated dose of it. So all love, respect, and appreciation to them, with the request of paying attention, with the respect of being aware of this barren and counterproductive method. And hey, before I close, there's an important point I need to clarify here. When talking about forgiving yourself, being easy on yourself, and drop the guilt, we're talking about your mistakes and shortcomings toward yourself and toward your Lord. But when it comes to people, if you hurt them, please feel free to feel guilty. By all means, I'm not going to confiscate your right, hurt you, backbite you, bother you, and then forgive myself, drop the guilt, and live happily ever after. Because if I do that, I make myself vulnerable to pay dearly in the day of judgment in the least. So do yourself a favor. When it comes to the mistakes and shortcomings you commit towards others, you only forgive yourself after you are granted their forgiveness. There's no other way around it. Let's not just kid ourselves. A final point I need to make here. You know, in video part 1, when I was talking about concept muflihun, the concept of success, muflihun in the Quran, we said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala added 3 characteristics toward falah, success. And in the last 4 clips, we discussed one characteristic of those, and that is the guilt mentality, guilt orientation versus result orientation versus effort orientation. The 2 characteristics remaining are yours to find. It is time to use more than our ears to understand religion. There's a reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored each one of us with an independent brain. So I suggest that you go ahead, you open your Quran, sit, bring out, gather all the ayat that has word aflaha, muflihun, yuflihu. I put some of them in the description box below. Just put it all together, look at it, read it slowly, again and again and again, with the intention of receiving your Lord's messages to you. No rush, no pressure. Take all the time that you need and just sit and reflect on those ayat. You know, reflection is a superior yet neglected form of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sunnah of the Prophet. So go ahead, sit. It's just you, your Lord, His message to you, and a cup of coffee. Sit, spend some time, look, observe, and try to understand Allah's messages to you without feeling that you're incapable of doing so, because we are capable. It's time to change the dynamic of our relationship with the Quran, don't you think? So all the best. Thank you for watching. See you in next video, tip 2 to understand Quran. Leave you في أمان الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.